Mickey Rooney is a true Hollywood legend. His career lasted over 9 decades and included more than 300 films, along with a tumultuous personal life marked by multiple failed marriages. His rise from humble beginnings to fame resembles a roller coaster ride. Vanity Fair referred to him as the original Hollywood train wreck, and it's hard to argue with that characterization. Although Rooney gained fame for playing the boy next door, his innocent appearance concealed a troubled side that few recognized. Interestingly, Mickey Rooney was not born with that name. He was originally named Ninian Joseph Yule Jr. in 1920. His transformation into Mickey Rooney began with several name changes. He started as Sonny Yule, then became Mickey McGuire, Mickey Looney, and finally settled on Mickey Rooney. Standing at just 5 feet 2 inches, Rooney was considered short, and his youthful looks persisted into his 30s. Nevertheless, he achieved remarkable success at the box office, becoming the biggest draw from 1939 to 1941. Laurence Olivier even called him the greatest actor of his time, except for one. In his autobiography, Life is Too Short, a likely pun on his height, Rooney claimed that Walt Disney named Mickey Mouse after him. However, this story has been proven false. In show business, people often say break a leg for good luck, but young Mickey Rooney took this phrase too literally. While playing the mischievous Puck in the 1935 film A Midsummer Night's Dream, he actually broke his leg. Despite this injury, the role brought him significant attention, even though a stunt double performed many of his scenes. Rooney was destined for a life in entertainment. His mother was a burlesque performer, and his father was a vaudevillian. He began performing in his parents' show, A Gay Girl, when he was only 17 months old. After moving to Hollywood with his mother, he quickly landed the role of Mickey McGuire, which launched his career. For the audition, since the role required a dark-haired child and Rooney was blonde, his mother used burnt cork to darken his hair. Rooney achieved superstardom when he landed the role of Andy Hardy in a series of successful MGM films. His youthful appearance allowed him to portray the all-American teenager well into his 20s, and his energetic, girl-crazy persona was not far from his real self. Throughout his career, Rooney not only earned more at the box office than his peers, but also had more marriages, 8 in total. This pattern of short and dramatic Hollywood marriages began with him. Rooney developed a passion for love at an early age, starting from when he was just 18. During the filming of Marie Antoinette in 1938, Rooney began a scandalous affair with his co-star Norma Shearer, who was twice his age and recently widowed. Their public relationship drew the ire of MGM head Louis B. Mayer, who confronted Rooney. Mayer told him, "Listen to me. I don't care what you do in private. Just don't do it in public. In public, behave. Your fans expect it. You're Andy Hardy. You represent the United States and the stars. Behave yourself. You're a symbol." Unfortunately, Rooney did not follow Mayer's wise advice. If you've heard rumors about a romantic relationship between Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland, you can rest assured they are just that, rumors. While they captivated audiences together on screen, Rooney stated, "Judy and I were so close, we could have come from the same womb. We weren't like brothers or sisters, but there was no love affair there. Although they shared a deep bond, there was no romantic involvement." When Rooney wasn't entertaining audiences or pursuing other women, he was serving in the military. In 1944, he joined the U.S. Army and spent over 21 months entertaining troops in active combat zones during World War II. His love life seemed more perilous than his time in combat, given the numerous dramatic relationships and scandals he was involved in. Rooney's first marriage was to another Hollywood icon, Ava Gardner, who was just starting her career at the time. At 21, Rooney married the 19-year-old Gardner, but their marriage was short-lived, ending within a year. Despite his legendary status, Rooney did not win a competitive Academy Award during his career. However, he was honored with a Juvenile Award in 1939 and an honorary Oscar in 1983. Over 9 decades, he received 4 Academy Award nominations, but did not win. He was honored with a Juvenile Award in 1939 and received another honorary Oscar in 1983, which was better than nothing. Rooney's second marriage to Betty Jane Phillips in 1944 was tumultuous. That year was significant for Betty Jane as she had just won the Miss Alabama pageant. She later became known as B.J. Baker in her successful music career. Rooney and Phillips had 2 children and enjoyed nearly 5 years of marriage before divorcing. The reason for their split was Rooney's betrayal. While Phillips was pregnant with their second child, he became close to a young Elizabeth Taylor on the set of National Velvet. Phillips discovered them in an inappropriate situation when she visited the set. Both Rooney and Phillips quickly moved on to new marriages. Rooney married Martha Vickers in 1949, the same year he divorced Phillips. They had a son, but Vickers eventually left Rooney due to his drinking problems. Rooney's fourth marriage was to model and actress Elaine DeVries, whom he met while she was working as a waitress and practicing her golf swing. DeVries had a complicated past. She had previously been married to a mobster who owed money to the mafia. At one point, he even asked Rooney for a loan, but Rooney refused. After returning from World War II, Rooney's career faced challenges. He was considered too short for leading man roles and too old for teenage parts. He signed a contract with MGM for $25,000 per film, a significant reduction from his previous fee of $100,000 per film. Mickey Rooney faced financial difficulties throughout his life. Despite earning millions during his impressive 9-decade career, he declared bankruptcy twice. Tragically, when he passed away in 2014, he had only $18,000 in assets and a drawer full of IOUs to the IRS. Nonetheless, Rooney's financial struggles didn't stop him from enjoying life. What was the secret to Rooney's charm? His tenacity. He persistently wooed his partner, DeVries, making bold claims about his wealth and proposing to her on every date they had, 30 times in total. Eventually, DeVries accepted his proposal, and they married in a classic Hollywood style. Despite being broke and somewhat of a compulsive liar, Rooney's charm shone through in their wedding. He even chartered a private plane to Las Vegas the night DeVries said yes, and they got married the next day. However, hasty decisions often lead to complications. Despite their quick wedding, Rooney and DeVries' marriage lasted from 1952 to 1958, marking his longest marriage. Unfortunately, after trying to help Rooney manage his finances, only to see him gamble away their money again, DeVries fell in love with someone else, and Rooney did as well. Rooney's fifth marriage was particularly tumultuous. He began dating Barbara Ann Thomason, a beauty pageant winner, while still married to DeVries, and he was quite open about it. In a bid to smooth things over after upsetting DeVries with his relationship, he bought her an even more expensive fur coat after purchasing one for Thomason. Thomason had her own ideas about Rooney's marriage. Instead of suggesting counseling for him and DeVries, she bluntly told him to divorce DeVries and marry her. Naturally, Rooney refused to leave his wife for his mistress, which led to a dramatic fallout. Thomason's reaction to his refusal was alarming. In a shocking incident that received national attention, her friends found her allegedly naked and floating in a pool at a house Rooney had rented for her. Thankfully, they rescued her in time, but that was just the beginning of the chaos. Rooney's marriage to DeVries was fraught with issues, from his financial troubles to her connections with the mafia, making it seem doomed from the start. Eventually, under pressure from Thomason, Rooney filed for divorce from DeVries while in Mexico, so he could marry his pregnant mistress. This decision, however, came at a high financial and emotional cost. DeVries demanded over $20,000 a month in alimony, and while they eventually settled, Rooney ended up owing even more. Some sources estimate it was equivalent to $3.5 million in 22. DeVries later remarked, "Living with Mickey is no bed of roses. 6 wives can't be all wrong, 6 and counting." Thomason agreed to love Rooney through thick and thin, including a hefty $3.5 million in debt. After finalizing his divorce from DeVries, Rooney married his mistress Thomason in 1958. Their marriage lasted 8 years and was filled with drama before ending in tragedy. 5 years into their marriage, Rooney fell back into his old habits. After a trip to Yugoslavia, Thomason discovered that he had been seeing a stripper. Instead of reacting with anger or jealousy, she decided to get revenge. After learning about Rooney's affair, she began one of her own with Yugoslavian actor Milos, who had been introduced to them by a mutual friend. While Rooney was away filming, Thomason and Milos moved in together, making it clear that divorce number 5 was inevitable. Despite their issues, Rooney and Thomason considered reconciling, especially since they had 4 children together, even though the children were living with Thomason's new partner. Milos, however, was not willing to let Rooney reclaim his family. Fueled by jealousy, he turned the situation into a tragedy. While Rooney was filming in the Philippines, Milos killed Thomason and then took his own life. Tragically, Rooney owned the weapon used in this horrific event. Rooney's 6th wife, Marge Lane, was deeply affected by Thomason's death. Lane was best friends with Thomason and had even had dinner with her the night of the incident. You might think she would avoid getting involved with Rooney, but grief can lead to unexpected choices. Lane and Rooney grew close in the aftermath of their shared loss and decided to marry later that same year. However, their marriage lasted only 100 days, and it seemed the ink on their marriage certificate barely had time to dry. When asked about his marriages, he once mentioned Lane and then added, "I think that was her name anyway." Fortunately, his 7th marriage was much less dramatic. In 1969, Rooney married secretary Carolyn Hockett in another impulsive Las Vegas wedding. They seemed to live happily ever after, at least for a while. By the time he married for the 7th time, Rooney believed he had discovered the secret to a successful marriage. Carolyn was 23 years younger than him, marrying Rooney when he was 48 and she was 25. However, by 1975, Carolyn Hockett filed for divorce, citing financial troubles. Rooney's 8th marriage would turn out to be his last and longest, lasting longer than all his previous marriages combined. Yet, a long marriage doesn't guarantee happiness, and Rooney was about to find that out. All those divorces might have been a blessing in disguise for him. Rooney's marriage to Jan Chamberlain lasted 36 years and was filled with dramatic events. In 1997, Chamberlain accused Rooney of battery, leading law enforcement to take him away. However, no charges were filed due to insufficient evidence. Abuse was a recurring issue in their relationship, with both parties claiming mistreatment. Rooney claimed that Chamberlain's son, Christopher Aber, along with his wife Christina, verbally and physically abused him. He also accused them of mismanaging his finances. By this time, Rooney's career had declined, and he was already burdened with alimony payments. Despite Rooney's financial struggles, Christopher and Christina Aber managed to take approximately $2 million from him. Nevertheless, Rooney maintained a prolific acting career, amassing 342 credits from 1926 to 2017, making him one of the most credited actors in history. Rooney's first marriage to actress Ava Gardner set a tumultuous tone for his life. Just a week after their wedding, Gardner was hospitalized for appendicitis. Upon her return home, she discovered Rooney had cheated on her while she was in the hospital, leading her to file for divorce. The family dynamics within the Rooney-Chamberlain household were strained, particularly after Christopher and Christina's actions. Thanksgiving dinners became tense, especially after Rooney filed for a restraining order against them. Rooney also distanced himself from his own 8 surviving children, disinheriting them, which meant they had little to gain from their father's estate. In his later years, Rooney prevented his children from visiting him. Fortunately, he had some friends left by the end of his career. Despite his legacy of classic films and troubled marriages, Rooney passed away without enough money to cover his funeral expenses. In a gesture of respect and appreciation, major film studios stepped in to pay for his funeral, honoring him in death in a way he never experienced in life.